we have the Elves versus 8 rack.
Congratulations on your night.
All right, chat.
Congratulations on your night.
We're gonna watch some. We're gonna watch some Elves versus 8 rack.
Okay, so I see the path for Jeremy to win this match is to be on the play
Yep,
and have a turn 2 smallpox.
that sounds great. Not letting lead the Stampede resolve also seems good.
Yeah, I think you just have to basically manage Quentin's mana resources and never let Quentin be able to like double spell in a turn, which can be a tall ask, but Jeremy does have a lot of removal in the deck, and smallpox is also really strong. A lot of times elves will keep a very land light hand because you have a lot of mana creatures. So although this initially seems pretty one-sided, I could see 8 rack having some game here.
Certainly, it will really depend on, I think, what Quentin finds. Certain cards like Dwinnen's Elite are quite good against Jeremy, as they kind of help blank Jeremy's Edict effects, but I do think Quentin's kind of relatively small land count could be devastated by a well-placed smallpox like from Jeremy.
Well, Jeremy loses the die roll, so this match is over.
Yeah, we're actually just gonna turn off the stream and head home.
Catch the end of the Blazers game.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna ask if anyone on stream is watching because then they might stop watching us.
Yeah, chat. Don't stop watching us, but I am gonna check the score. Just 'cause sports ball. Damn it, Travis.
All right, we get a turn 1 Llanowar Elf. Or Elvish Mystic. Elvish Mystic, there we go.
Solid start for Quentin, and Jeremy leads off with an Urborg into an Inquisition of Kozilek.
Which, Urborg can help Quentin out there, cast the Shaman of the Pax.
Looks like, what, 2 Heritage Druids, 2 Elvish Clan Callers, and is that an Elvish Mystic?
Ooh, so I guess you could just nav a 1-drop, nav a Heritage Druid, and then hopefully follow it up with some removal.
Yeah, the Clan Callers aren't that great without critical mass. So I am on board with that plan. I think Jeremy's fine taking some hits in the meantime. But yeah, plan is keep Quentin from exploding. And obviously, if Quentin's ever able to Elvish Clan Caller chain, that would be quite a problem.
Ooh, we get a main deck Surgical Extraction targeting a Heritage Druid there, so it is going to nab a card from Quentin's hand.
And there is a rule on this stream, and it's when you cast Surgical Extraction, it always gets a card from your opponent's hand.
Yes, if you're on coverage and you have a Surgical in hand, use it on anything. It'll be in your opponent's hand.
Yeah.
And in fact, even when you should not board in Surgical Extractions, do so, because it'll pay off
better.
For you.
Yeah.
All right.
Archdruid. Oh, I said Elvish Mystic. It's Elvish Archdruid, isn't it? So if Quentin is able to untap with this Archdruid, he should be able to empty his hand.
Jeremy is really thinking how to sequence things here. Archdruid plus Clan Caller can be quite an issue.
That's a combo.
All right, we get a swamp that is also a swamp.
They're all swamps.
I bet Jeremy might be thinking smallpox here. Yep, we got a Wrench Mine.
That also seems solid. So Quentin in top deck mode.
Yep.
That's a decent find. Go ahead and hits Jeremy to 13.
Are you excited to play Davriel in this deck?
Maybe. I'm not sure if it's good, but
It's pretty cool.
I'll give it a try. Yeah, it's cool.
I don't know. I'm gonna try the
So I'm
green.
trying this out now.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
Jeremy's
That's why I'm playing
thinking
this, 'cause I want to play the green.
this is going to be a tough one because you got to deal with the board here, and you got a lot of cards in your hands. Unsure if Jeremy is on Ensnaring Bridge or not. Seems like sometimes it's a 1, 2, 3 of in the deck.
Right. I believe that's an Inquisition at the front of his hand, too.
Probably not casting that one.
Yeah.
But Fatal Push is also kind of awkward here because he'd only kill the Mystic.
It's so... He's in such an awkward spot where he still has all these cards that are about getting cards out of...
Ooh, Jeremy Inquisitions himself.
So... Why is Jeremy trying to get Hellbent?
Maybe hoping to top deck a land into Ensnaring Bridge?
Ah, that's a good point. So, yeah, so that's very telling. So Jeremy kind of giving away the information there that he is playing Ensnaring Bridges. I can see no other reason to be getting rid of cards in his own hand.
No, but that was giving yourself an out to draw a land, then you can play Liliana, either plus or minus, probably minusing, and then maybe draw an Ensnaring Bridge. You'd have to have 2 perfect draw steps, but...
Oh yeah,
So
I think it was totally the right choice. But if Quentin was paying close attention, I think he could guess that Jeremy is playing some number of Ensnaring Bridges.
And we saw that Jeremy had that Smallpox in hand, and so if Jeremy had been on the play, that the texture of that game would have been drastically different. All right, sideboarding. I bet Quentin is going to be bringing in all the cards that say draw a card, like Lead the Stampede. Jeremy probably bringing in some Flaying Tendrils or like effect here. Don't know if 8-Rack is playing Bantu's Last Reckoning or Flaying Tendrils. Whatever, Damnation. Probably Damnation's too high of a CMC.
I can't get over, I don't think Jeremy, even if he'd won the die roll, would have chosen to be on the play unless he absolutely knew what Quentin was playing. It's very normal to choose to be on the draw with this 8-Rack deck as far as I understand, regardless of whether you win or lose the die roll.
Yeah, it depends on what you're expecting to play against. I feel like that used to be the case, but now that Modern is so fast and you're main decking Surgicals, and you have a lot of hand disruption effects, I feel like you might want to be on the play. It's hard to say. I always feel excited when the 8-Rack players let me play first.
Interesting.
Cement floors.
Plastic dice. Polymers tend to do that.
And if I'm on Quentin's side, I don't know. I mean, I think you definitely want to bring in something like a Reclamation Sage. Or really as many of those as you have. That card seems great here.
I saw Assassin's Trophies hanging out too.
Oh, okay.
Trophy seems good as well.
Where did you work when you did that?
Which one?
With the Math Professor.
It seemed like someone in chat was commenting earlier about these playmats, and these playmats are from Guardian Games, and they're kind of a killer deal. They're $10, which is very inexpensive for playmat, and they have a bunch of them. You can stop by the store and purchase those. And we are Portland Paper here. We do streaming for Analog Magic the Gathering in the Pacific Northwest, located in Portland, of course. Every Monday you'll find us at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, streaming 4 rounds of Modern here at Guardian Games in Portland, Oregon. Usually pretty competitive player pool here, pretty big tournament. We vacillate between like 35 and 90 players, depending on time of year and what else is going on in town. But quite a few good players, a lot of regulars.
It's a fun scene.
It is a fun scene. There's also a bar that you can play at, so you can drink your beers and play your Magic in a tournament.
Or your apple juice, or your San Pellegrino.
It's true. They have lots of refreshment options.
I will not. I will keep this.
Quentin thought about mulliganing, but then was like, you know what? We're not gonna mulligan.
It looked like he was on. Maybe he's got 2 lands in hand. He probably thought about it and then realized that he's against 8 rack, and you really don't want to mull against 8 rack
Nope.
unless you absolutely have to.
And there is a Rex Sage I saw in Quentin's hand, so should be able to deal with this really sweet rack that Jeremy has from Antiquities.
Can I read this card?
Yeah.
So if this becomes tapped, does it no longer work?
No.
Okay. This is a continuous artifact.
Here we are.
I distinctly remember opening this card as a younger person and thinking it looked really freaking cool.
Team check. I haven't seen that.
I remember thinking it looked really scary.
Yes. My parents probably saw this and were like, yeah, you're not going to play that game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the wrong card.
That devil worship game. Can't
Draw
play
4,
that.
It gets confusing.
All right, get a clan caller. I have a feeling Jeremy probably kept with some amount of removal. Liliana the Veil would be amazing right now.
That also is maybe even better. Lily
Liliana-
Last Hope.
yeah. Doing a little bit of a Is It Staticaster impersonation there.
Is it Staticaster with ultimate attached? So Quentin playing an elf into the
yeah, I don't know. Not what I would have
Maybe-
done.
yeah.
So Jeremy casting Raven's Crime, which says Quentin has to discard a card. You can retrace it by discarding a land and paying its mana cost.
Well, when I imagine game states that Jeremy can win in, this is one of them. Quentin really hoping to be able to cast that Lead the Stampede.
Yeah, even then you're probably going to have to Devil Spell in a turn to, because most of your creatures are 1 toughness, so you're going to need to resolve some kind of Lord. And Jeremy has a Smallpox in hand. I would be very tempted to use that, even if it meant going down a land. Because my opponent has a lot of cards, they're not casting them. Jeremy might not be thinking about Lead the Stampede, though.
Yeah, I think his patience will pay off here, especially if he's trying to go the route of ulting Liliana. Then he just needs to buy himself a couple more turns after that ult goes off.
Okay, now Jeremy's going to be aware of Lead the Stampede.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I think
Quentin-
that's the correct choice.
Quentin concedes rather than showing Jeremy his sideboard tech, which included some Reclamation Sages and Lead the Stampede in hand. You like that concession?
Absolutely. I think Quentin was on, I don't know, something below 1% in that game.
Yeah, you have to have a creature and then be able to attack Liliana. It's going to ultimate. You can't beat the ultimate.
Right. So, that said, I don't really think it would affect Jeremy's sideboarding much, even knowing what Quentin brought in.
I think it more just affects your decisions on how you play the game. Like if Jeremy knew that Quentin was playing to that Lead the Stampede, Jeremy might have cast a Smallpox earlier.
Agree.
Instead of a Raven's Crime and then made your land drop, so you were still at 3. So.
Right.
But yeah, this
I like the new red.
very interesting matchup here.
Cool, yeah, it says cast.
A little bit more interactive than we thought.
Strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, being on the play seems important.
As long as you got an instant source.
Sure, but you can play it in mono red Phoenix and just like get your lava spike and your lightning bolt
Right.
and Phoenixes.
They actually don't have a lot of instants.
Yeah.
So like that kind of matters. Like the blue, I think the blue red version.
How about that Belcher match, Travis?
Oh. Well, we have chat. We have a Quentin fan. Apparently, Quentin is a nice guy,
I'm gonna be able to
which is true. Quentin is a nice guy. Quentin also sometimes commentates here too. Got a couple folks in the local player pool
Mm-hmm.
that we get to do a coverage here in the booth, and seeing like maybe a 1 or no lander Quentin has. Hard to tell, but I see a lot of 3s.
That can be a bit of a trap playing against this 8-rack deck. Sometimes you feel like you should be boarding out your kind of cheap, like 1-mana creatures or cheap cards that aren't gaining you card advantage. So you board into a bunch of stuff that's going to give you like 2-for-1s or more in card advantage. But getting to those things against 8-rack can be difficult sometimes.
Oh, both players going to 6 here. Yeah, the mulliganing decisions against 8-rack are always really interesting because you'll keep some pretty bad hands because you know you're going to discard a bunch of it. I tend to, if I have lands in my hand, I will just keep anything because my opponent's probably going to discard my best card with a hand disruption spell. The game is going to be about what I draw on like turn 5 or 6, not what I have in my opening hand usually.
I do find that 8-rack is one of the most stressful decks to play against, where you just feel like, you really do feel like you're just getting squeezed, and you just have this like fear of them taking away all of the things that matter to you.
I feel like the flavor of how the stuffy doll on the rack actually looks is very similar to how it does feel when you're playing against it, which is a beautiful thing.
I find that the cards that deal damage to you in 8-rack are like the biggest release. Like, the cards that actually kill you don't matter to me nearly as much as the ones that are taking the things that matter most to me.
Well, that sounds like really depressing there. The things it's like takes your wife, takes your kids.
That's how it feels when you play against 8-rack.
Yeah.
It's one of those psychological decks like Infect that it's a Tom Ross favorite.
really like the Travis Lane start here in the stream. It's so good.
Yeah. Makes me feel like you're playing for something.
Yeah, like rather than just like.
All right, Quentin on 5
I feel
and
like
on the play.
After
Travis, do you know who mulliganing to low amounts of cards benefits in this matchup?
Yeah, Jeremy?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh God.
yeah.
Oh geez.
Well,
Just gotta cocoa your way to victory here.
Quentin's gonna have to hit a really good 4 here. Maybe like 4 lands.
Well, the thing is that Quentin is capable of
math, sometimes you just get fucked by it.
having really good top decks and really explosive hands, and 8-rack has a lot of
Sometimes you're like,
hands that will have discard effects,
dope.
some planeswalkers, but might not actually have a win condition. So there's a lot of kind of non-hands that 8-rack keeps.
I actually think 4 lands would be a very solid hand for Quentin here.
Yeah.
If he can play a land drop and then Jeremy like Inquisitions or Thought Seizes and he dodges that first effect.
Yeah, I have literally kept 6 land mulligans to 6 against 8-rack.
Yeah.
That's fun. Those are real decks.
It's a real heart of the cards sort of matchup.
This is much better. I'm gonna keep this straight.
Quentin finds an acceptable 4.
Oh, we get a Heritage Druid.
Oh, some shortcutting there. I was like, you, sir, have to reveal an elf. But he did.
Okay, well, we have a Horizon Canopy, so we're going to have land drop for next turn. And looks like we have another elf. So
Just straight up sweating the smallpox.
we got a Clan Caller, so we got a clock going.
He really needs no smallpox here.
What do you sacrifice if there is a smallpox?
The clan caller.
Alright, I take 3.
Okay, Quentin's taken 3 because of Shrieking Affliction. Oh.
Which is interesting because obviously Jeremy thought that wow, Quentin getting rid of a land to draw. That's really surprising to me.
Okay, coming in there with the Heritage Druid, almost just past the turn.
So Jeremy has his clock.
Oh boy.
And now he has his walker, and
I feel like this is where you kind of call it.
yeah, I mean it's the last game, so I guess, and the last game of the night. So I guess if you're Quentin, and he's got a Coco in hand. I mean, he won't have it in hand after.
Okay, so you draw Lead the Stampede.
He's even. It's just hanging on the precipice of the graveyard.
Maybe Jeremy likes his hand so much that he's not going to plus Liliana.
Oh man, I always wish that. And then I realized what that would actually mean.
It's like the secret fourth mode that sometimes is a real thing that you do, but most players don't know that that's a thing.
Psychologically, it just feels wrong. Because plussing's always good.
Jeremy is thinking real hard here. How about a smallpox?
12, 8, 16.
And discard. It just feels so hopeless.
Jeremy's thinking if he wants it. We're contemplating the secret fourth mode of Liliana.
Plus it.
Yeah, you plus it.
Plus it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long
You don't
ways
need
off.
that. You don't need that Bantu's Last Reckoning.
7.
All right, Quentin. Draw out of it. You can draw out of it. It's fine. It's fine. You'll be fine. Quentin, draw out of it. I gave Quentin the win. Whoops. I guess that's the way it goes. I pushed the win for Quentin, so
Well,
Elves must be your Jeremy, when you rewatch this, I'm not rooting against you. The squeeze of 8-rack, it hurts.
well, pretty soon it's probably going to become 10-rack, I think.
Yeah.
So afraid of, like,
Yeah, you have to actually play.
Is Devriel, is his face thematically scary enough to be a rack effect?
Let's find out.
Yeah, we one more planeswalker.
drawing 2 0-landers is just pretty unlucky. I don't know.
It's not. I mean,
Out of 11 cards.
it's too like new age scary, right?
And it's also just really dark. I just see it a thing. I'm not like, ooh, that's a scary thing. It's like,
Yeah.
eh. It's cool, kind of how it like bleeds into the, like out of the frame into the border a
Yeah.
little bit, but
Hey, have a good one.
it's a little bit. That's kind of a fail for me.
All right, cool, thanks.
Yeah. I think I'm probably on the same page. Maybe they'll release a promo version that'll look
Yeah,
sweet.
do a full art thing. I'm curious if they ever do full art uncommon planeswalkers. But just so everyone that has been hanging out with us this evening knows, we are Portland Paper. You can find us at Portland_paper on Twitter and hanging out on Twitch here. You can check out our events page. We stream every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Some analog Magic the Gathering in the modern format here at Guardian Games in Portland, Oregon. We also do some other streams of some other formats. We got some Legacy, Pauper, etc., more modern that happen. And yeah, feel free to follow us here on Twitch to find out when we're streaming. And we appreciate any kind of subscriptions we get. We're looking to do some more and larger events and upgrade our equipment, so that's always a big help to us. Or just follows, just being in chat, and we appreciate everyone hanging out with us this evening. We will be here next week. Any final thoughts, Ian?
No, thanks for hanging out, chat. We appreciate everybody watching. It makes a big difference. So this is why we do this stuff.
All right. Well, I hope everyone has a great week, and we'll see you next Monday.